we want 1y. So when we did question 1 and 2 in class, and then number 3 in class, each one of those, the first one, you only had one step. You had to subtract negative 5x. Number 2, you have a two-step equation. To get that negative 4y by itself, you subtracted 8x. Then you divided everything by negative 4. In number 3, the y was already by itself. So you simply divided everything by negative 3 to get that answer, and you should have checked that in the back. Now, number 4, there were 2 ways to do number 4, and I want you to take a look at both of these ways, and even if you've done number 4. In number 4, one way is you add y to both sides, and you get y plus 5x equals 6. If I get y plus 5x equals 6, what would be my next step as I look at that to get y totally by itself? I need to subtract 1. What would you say if you were looking at that? Right? Subtract 5x. And if I subtract 5x, and you have to keep the x with it, and what I notice is a lot of you drop that x off. So in number 4, if you haven't done number 4, you could do it this way. If you haven't written it down, I take that pencil out and start writing. Or, so you have y equals, this gives us 0, and on this side you have negative 5x plus 6. If you would have done it this way, I had some people say, oh, I would subtract 6 first. If you subtracted 6, you get 5x minus 6 equals negative 1. We don't want to know what negative y equals. We want positive y. And remember, in front of a negative y, that's negative 1. So you divide everything by negative 1. Do you get the same answer? Negative 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5x. Negative 6 divided by negative 1 is plus 6. And negative y divided by negative 1 is y. So either way, you still get this for your solution. So this first page, going down through 12, you needed to get y by itself. As you take a look at that second page, in question 13, what is the only thing you have to do if we are looking at that in order, Levi, to get x by itself?
You get x by itself. You have to subtract.
Careful. So we have 6y minus 8 equals negative 2x. We would simply divide every single thing by what's with the x, what's happening with the x. Negative 2 times x. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 2 is to divide. So in this first problem on 13, you only have one step. You divide everything by negative 2. That leaves us back here with x equals. That was our goal. 6 divided by negative 2, you don't want to leave that. You're going to put negative 3y. Negative 8 divided by negative 2, if we were writing that down, is going to be a plus 4, and you're done with the problem. X equals. If you don't like writing the x behind it, and you like writing it in front, rewrite it and put negative 3y plus 4. Same answer. So now when I look at number 14, I want to get 1/4 x by itself. If I am doing that, Dan, what do I have to do to get 1/4 x by itself?
Times by 4.
Well, I could do that. So if we're going to take everything by 4, is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take 4 times 1/4 x. So like we've been doing with our fractions, we're going to put the x in the numerator. If you haven't done this one, write it down. We're going to take 3 times 4 equals, we're taking negative 5y times 4. Matt, when I do that, what happens here?
The 4's cancel.
Okay, and I'm left with
1
1x plus, keep going.
3.
So I have 3 times 4, right? 3 times 4 gives me 12. And then that last one, when I'm taking a look at that, Bashir is going to give me what? Negative 20y. All right. So Abby, is it easier now to get x by itself? So when I multiplied and got rid of that fraction, so when we have fractions, we can keep doing that. So what do I have to do, Abby? No, not yet. I have 1x plus 12 equals negative 20y. Right. I only want the x on this side, so I have to subtract 12. So yes, I agree that over the weekend you could have forgot how to do some of these. If we are writing number 4, my answer now is 1x. That was my goal. Negative 20y minus 12. Done. Okay. On this one, you have to do quite a few steps in 15 because you have to distribute first and just make sure that you take negative 3 times both of those. And then maybe you think of this as plus a negative, that might help some of you, or maybe plus a -3, that might help you. So, questions on any 13b, okay? So it's gonna be a lot of work time for you. Today and tomorrow in class, we have a new lesson that we have to look at. This was the 12 that we looked at. You needed to have 1 to 9 all, and then you had the evens, okay? Notice it says on the board that you're doing 13b, and then you have, you'll see 13c, right? 13c is bonus, if you decide you want to work on that. But my hint would be this, is that you actually could start working on, after you finish 13b, you could actually go to start working on C16, the review, because you have to have that done to take the test.